We are rolling.
Okay.
This is Indecisive Cinema, episode 25.
25.
I'm Jeremy Knight, and my beloved co-host Carlos Hernandez is with me.
Hey guys.
As
It's
usual.
Me. ASMR. We sound like ASMR with whispering.
Exactly. I feel like we always get louder as the podcast goes on.
That is
like
so
we're really,
true.
like we're really timid when it first starts.
If people tune in and say, "Oh, this is ASMR
it sounds
shit.
so
I like
good."
that." And like,
And it's just us yelling at each other.
Get the fuck out of here. But
It just devolves over time. It's also usually I wake up about 30 minutes before we start the podcast
I bet you
as
do.
well. So
I was gonna say,
I'm
guys
usually a little sleepy.
He was slipping
Sunday
there.
mornings they're a good time for us to do these, but they're definitely tough because if I have weddings the day before, I feel
horrible.
like I'm hungover.
Rondo, I was like telling Rondo last night, I said, well, when can we do it on Saturday night? I mean, he'd probably be working. And I said, Friday night? I said, if I don't have the kids, I get out of work. He has to get here at 8:30, so.
Sunday morning's nice because there's nothing else going on in the day usually, and so it's easy for me to get the podcast up once I'm done. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a
There's
good
no
time.
more football, so you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you watch? Do you watch now more sports now, or no? You don't?
Well, I've been watching a lot of NHL.
Okay, so hockey.
My Blackhawks suck, but we're at least as of today. I think we're still in contention for playoffs, but I think we're 4 points back. So we've got to win 2, and I think it's the Avalanche we're chasing need to lose 2. So we'll see. But yeah, so I watched a little bit of NHL. Obviously, baseball just started.
Yeah,
a little bit of March Madness, but like. Usually the way I watch like football is like I a lot time out of my day for that. NHL, unless it's playoffs, playoff hockey is like my favorite thing. Unless it's playoff hockey, I usually like if I get a notification on my phone saying the game starts, if I'm not doing anything, I'll tune in. But I'm more casual of a fan when it comes to that because I don't do fantasy for baseball or hockey. So.
Or basketball.
Yeah, so lately I've just been watching TV and not a ton of TV, but mostly movies and playing a new video game called Sekiro that just came out. It's like
What platform?
It's on everything, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But it's from one of my favorite developers, FromSoft. They did the Dark Souls games.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's like very difficult in the same way that those are, and it's really fucking good. So I've been playing a lot of that.
What do you play it on?
PC.
PC. Okay.
Yep. So that's been my past because I guess we're getting more on schedule because this is our third time in a row I think doing this every 2 weeks.
Yeah. We have been.
So that helps kind of keep it more consistent.
Yeah, and luckily, I mean that'll happen throughout April, but then starting May, I get it'll be every other week, except for the Mother's Day weekend because Gloriana's birthday party is that Saturday.
Which weekend's that?
That's May 11th. It's that weekend of May 11th. We wouldn't be able to do one.
I've got a few weddings, I think, on Sunday in May anyway.
Especially, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to be crazy coming up because May and June are wedding season.
Yep, I've got like 11 on the books for May, so it'll be a busy month, but
we'll be good for the next month. We should be solid every other week.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
And even if it's not every other week, we can get 2 in, I think, each month. I'm going to be in Chicago in April, so.
Oh, yeah? How long?
Like 5 days. My dad was going up for a business thing.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me. Yeah.
So he's paying for the rental car and whatnot. So
that should be good.
It will help
back home.
keep the cost down a little bit. And I'm going to see John.
He's going to be with John. Delano's out there. And I feel like I'm going to go to Chicago.
Book your flight, bro.
Yeah, brother.
Let's go.
Definitely. Soon. I'm serious.
I wish I could stay longer, but
yeah.
I got weddings on each end of that trip, so it's hard to. It's nice. I'd rather not have every weekday off and be able to go do that for 5 days, just in the middle of the month. So I can't complain too much, but I do wish I had a weekend off so I could stay up for 9 or 10 days. All right, sorry, my throat's all dry.
Yeah, drink up, brother.
Still dehydrated from yesterday. I lost 4 pounds in sweat. Yesterday, I was so fucking. It was miserable.
Telling that they're on. There was a comic shop having a sale, and I was going through these books, and they have these dollar books that are all out of order, and I got to go one by one. And she was like, came by like an hour later. She goes, "You're sweating," and I'm dripping sweat. I'm like, "Really? I'm just standing here looking at comic books."
It was fucking humid. It was like 100% humidity. And I don't know, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack or something. I was like, I just can't stop. This is...
God forbid, bro.
Yeah.
We're big guys. I mean, God forbid we have heart attacks at this age.
God, man. And then, and then the temperature drops. Like cold front came through,
Right?
temperature drops
And then
40
it's
degrees.
chilly outside. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which I'll take that though. I love the cold, but
You're from Chicago.
you know, I hate the humidity. Us big guys, it's just not. We're not made for it.
We're not made
Anyway, that's our off
I
topic
know,
intro.
right? Setting up the show episode.
So that's what we've been up to.
Yeah.
And we're gonna. I've also seen some movies. Fewer new releases this time around, but mainly because I went and saw like Blue Velvet on the big screen. So I still went and saw movies, but some of them were older. But we did see Captain Marvel. Both of us have seen Captain Marvel now, so we'll talk about that. Us, Jordan Peele's new movie, Paddleton. Carlos saw Killing of the Sacred Deer.
Yes, finally.
I'm just going to kind of plug a few comedy specials that are on Netflix that I think are really, really solid. We're both going to kind of talk about Arrested Development, Season 5. Carlos saw Free Solo.
Yeah.
I watched Wayne's World for the first time in like 10 years.
Oh, okay. You've seen it before, though, yeah.
And then we've got a few other, well, there's one I want to save for later.
I already see what that is.
And then obviously I said Blue Velvet. Carlos saw Ex Machina. And Watchmen.
Yes.
Again, I'm assuming.
for the eighth time.
You've never seen Watchmen? No, I'm assuming Carlos has seen Watchmen.
Yes, many, many times.
And then I don't know what Bad Apples is.
Yeah,
so we'll get to that.
I guess I could do that before your last final pick because they're in the same vein.
Fair enough. Yeah, so that's the agenda for today. I guess we'll start with Captain Marvel.
Let's dive in.
I'm going to let you explain the plot because I saw it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, you saw it opening
I saw it
weekend.
opening weekend at District. It was empty. It was fantastic.
Oh, you saw it at District Theater?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That nobody ever goes to that
Yeah, I was
theater.
going to say, I don't know how that's
Because
still
they
open.
only have like 5 screens and they play, they play
Do
3
they still
movies.
serve food or no?
Yeah.
Oh,
Their food is really good.
Yeah,
like
I got to try District.
And it's very clean. It's a good theater.
Because
But
when we went there, it wasn't District. It was something else, right? What was it called?
it used to be Star Cinema.
Star Cinema.
Yeah,
Star
which was
Cinema.
really shitty back then.
Yeah. It was.
That moved to the mall, Baybrook Mall, and then
That's when I met Kara.
District opened up.
Yeah, that was the first time I went to the theater. But
That was when we went.
Yeah,
right?
we all
with,
went. We saw Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yep.
Cabin Fever. Shit, that came out 20 years ago.
Hell, that's a lesser film, I'd say.
So Captain Marvel, which is Marvel's penultimate Phase 3 MCU film. Basically, the plot is, and I'll give you the movie plot, not the comic book plot. But we introduced to the hero. Well, I mean, she's not Captain Marvel in the beginning, but her name is Veers, and she is a warrior in the Kree army, and they are on a secret mission to save one of their spies from the Skrull. And in this, she ends up getting caught behind enemy lines and gets thrown into their straight up war, gets sent to or falls down to Earth, where she realizes she's originally from, and she meets up with the motherfucker Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, and don't say it. And they go on this little adventure on Earth, trying to find out who she is and where the Skrulls are and what the Kree are trying to do with the Skrull.
I'm glad you introduced that because I forgot everything about this movie. I feel like
So Captain Marvel, real quick, just a quick background based on a comic book by Jim Starlin. The hero is male. It's a lot of interesting things too. I mean, I know Jeremy won't know, but in the film, Marvel, we find out, is played by Annette Bening, who's a doctor or scientist from Kree who came to Earth. And try not to give out spoilers, but basically,
we can. So yeah, let's talk about it without spoilers, and then I think we can. Once we kind of get through our initial thoughts, then we can.
Yeah. So there's a lot of
there's
a lot of changes made. I like the changes, but it's really good. It's solid. It's very fun. I mean, they maintain that Ragnarok type comedy mixed with a lot of the action. This is the first female-driven film from Marvel. And it is really good. It's very well done. But that's basically the plot of the film without giving out spoilers. So you can then take from here and say what you need to say. We can go on that.
So, I mean, I think I enjoyed this quite a bit. I mean, I found myself enjoying it more as it went on, which is a good thing. It's hopefully what you hope for in a movie. But I did feel, and this is just me being a dumb moviegoer, I felt for the first act, I think I felt completely lost, and it may just be because I glaze over when people explain, like, just I don't know, like when people go into like the Kree and the scrolls and all that kind of stuff. It's like I just don't. It's not that I don't care. I'm just like I'm more visual, like, and I need. I don't know. I just felt completely lost for at least 30 minutes. And then I think when they get to Earth from there on, I had a much better time. Overall, it's really well made. It's obviously it's a Marvel movie. It's expected, but it's pretty slick. There's some good action set pieces, and I like Brie Larson a lot. I'm a huge fan of hers.
It was in Scott Pilgrim, man.
I don't know that I don't know. I feel like her personality doesn't come to play as well here as I would like. I don't know if so. The challenge I have with this is I feel like tonally at times it doesn't quite know what it wants to be. So you brought up Thor Ragnarok. I think that movie had a more focused sense of what it wanted to be, and like that movie is. I really like Thor Ragnarok.
It's great.
That's probably one of my favorite Marvel films, and it just is so sharply funny, and it's consistently tonally consistent. Which is a terrible sentence, but it's totally consistent in a way that I feel like at times Captain Marvel, like, I don't know, there's the scene with Ben Mendelsohn, like it's kind of, and I don't want to, I guess at this point we can get into spoilers because we need to talk about some of the later plot details. This isn't really a big spoiler scene that I'm talking about.
It's early on.
Well, so anyway, spoilers for Captain Marvel, but when we find out that Ben Mendelsohn's character, and I'm going totally blank on whether or not he's a Skrull.
He's a Skrull.
Okay.
He's a Skrull.
So we find out that he's not the bad guy, and in fact has kind of a heartfelt reasoning behind it.
Which is really, I was surprised because I didn't see that coming.
And I'm glad because I was not sold on him being the villain at all. So I'm glad that they took that direction.
He mostly plays villains, but that's why I kind of liked him here. And it's funny because when in the beginning of the film, when he's just badass Skrull, he's a bad guy. I kept saying, I'm like, so out of all, I mean, this is the first time we see Skrulls on the cinema. I've read Skrulls for the past 40 years of my life, and I'm like, why does he sound like a Cockney English dude? Like, what the hell? I said, did this Skrull do that in the past? He copied somebody but dug his accent? And it threw me off, but then once you see that he takes the form of Ben Mendelsohn, you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense because the actor, but still, I would say, why does he still have this Cockney accent?
Well, and he has a little bit of a lisp.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love Ben Mendelsohn ever since Animal Kingdom.
Huge fan of him. That. Yeah, good.
So I like the casting here. I just don't know if I bought, like, I don't, there was just something about the way that his character was introduced, and I just didn't buy it. So I'm glad that they took that direction with it, and I do, but the point I was trying to make though is like the scene where you find out that he's not the bad guy, and there's that like kind of odd, awkward comedy.
Yeah, that was very Thorian, Ragnarokian.
And I don't dislike it, but it was just kind of like I just because even Brie Larson's character, she would have like these. They wanted her to be kind of quippy at times, but it just I feel like the movie was like. Tonally, it was too serious to like. It just felt off, and I don't really know. Like, I saw this movie 3 weeks ago, so I'm forgetting some of my better examples about, what I'm describing.
And I think I see what you're saying.
And it's not really.
Not that they. And again, I think what I said, and then you picked up on. I don't want to say that this was gonna be the Thor Ragnarok of the Captain Marvel series. I just think that in all Marvel films. There's a lighter tone.
Sure.
I think I understand what you're saying because I think her personality comes out at the end of the film. Her personality comes out.
Yeah.
But you didn't want the beginning to be dry for people who don't read comic books. Like you said, you were like, I glazed over because I don't read Marvel comic books. And I think so they threw in a little quips here. Sam Jackson is great.
Yeah,
and
he is great.
He does. And he
all that works. That's
and
not
he's a straight
that's
man
not really
to
what
Brie
I'm talking
Larson's, quippy. And I liked it. And again, I'm not putting it in the top 5 Marvel films, but I did enjoy it as a first film. And being that I know comic books, it helped. And again, now that you say that, I all week I kept saying, I never asked the kids if they liked the film or not. We left the movie, we were running to a birthday party, my car broke down. And it was like...
It's not, it's a little forgettable.
I wonder if the kids would have said, I like that a lot. Like with Thor Ragnarok, they were...
Yeah, I went and saw that again.
They've seen it, we've seen it a couple of times. But
with Captain Marvel, I was just kind of like I had a good time.
It
reminds me a lot of Solo.
Star Wars,
which I like more than most people.
I did too.
But it's just tonally that movie didn't quite, and that was because of multiple directors, which I don't know if that's what the same case here, where that was they brought in.
We discussed that.
Phil
I think
Lord,
Christopher
Miller,
Miller should have taken
Christopher Phil. Is it who? I
it's
flipped their name. I think it's Phil Lord,
Christopher Miller. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love them, but so like they were brought in, and then they swapped to Ron Howard, who's a very fine director as well. But I just feel like that movie couldn't quite figure out what it wanted to be, and that's just a problem with studio meddling. But I don't know if that's the case here, but there's just times where it just doesn't quite.
And then again, I know the audience is saying this guy's defending it. What I'm saying is this: with the exception of Captain America: The First Avenger, which also has its issues. I think every first outing of every hero, including Iron Man, including Thor, which Thor was very dry.
Yep.
They're not, like, hit him out of the park. Like Captain America.
This is better. I think the better of those.
Thor and Iron Man definitely.
Other than maybe Iron Man.
Yeah, I like Iron Man as it builds, but I'll say this: the second film should be tighter because Captain America is the only one where, even though the first film can go slow. It's a story. It's like Wonder Woman, where you get an origin, but it's very well done. But so
it's definitely fun for an origin.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Solo, or I had a good time. But I'm not gonna rush out to see it again, which is
agreed. Like I'll watch it on Netflix.
That's my reservation. It's kind of like I don't have any desire to really. It's like I feel like I got it.
Unless I get paid. You heard about that guy that they're gonna pay one person to watch every single Marvel movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and they get. And I was telling you, you got to be California. But.
Yeah, I just and then I feel like I also feel like the way that her powers are dealt with, I didn't really enjoy. Like I don't know, just she never really struggles much, throughout, which isn't necessarily a problem because ultimately I gauge it based on what my overall enjoyment of it. So it's enjoyable regardless of that. But there's just. I don't know. It doesn't feel as satisfying as it should be, and I don't necessarily know exactly why, but that's just kind of. I walked out going,
But do you like? So if we're doing the recommended, do you recommend anyone seeing it?
Yeah, I would.
Of course.
Yeah, especially in a dry season like this. Thankfully we've got
it's weird that they've. I remember May was the month. And then a few years back, it started April. And now they're coming out in March movies. And if you go to Black Panther came out in February. And
but this is a unique year though because you've got Avengers and you have.
I guess you're right.
I think you've got Spider-Man.
Spider-Man in July. So you got Avengers Star Wars. In less than a month. You got Spider-Man in July.
You got a lot of big
Star
releases.
Wars at Christmas time. Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's a perfectly competent movie.
Definitely.
I mean, I guess we could. Maybe talk about the end credit scenes. I guess is all we have really left to talk about.
Yeah, there's two of them.
I forgot.
Yeah, the first one is the more important one because the first one sets up Endgame.
And the second one's just the Ant-Man one, right?
Is the Flerken Goose, which I thought was cute. But it also, and again, we didn't talk about Captain America: First Avenger because like I said, I saw it a month ago. But it's funny because I'm sitting there with Ron and I'm like, the whole cosmic cube, the Tesseract, which in Captain Marvel is called the Warp Core. I'm like, that's going to come to play. That's how they're going to go back in time. That's how they're going to do everything. And as me and Ron were watching the film, the minute they did the Warp Core thing, I just looked at it and said, I knew it. So yeah, it's funny because the first end credit scene, which is, and again, you're all going to laugh, but I cry because I already know what's going to happen in Endgame. So the minute I saw Captain America, I started crying. And, she's like, they're like, the little pager stops. And then, they're like, it stopped. Let's get it going again. And then boom, she appears and says, "Where's Nick Fury?" And there you go. So that sets up her introduction to Endgame, the Marvel Universe. And I was excited. I mean, we now know that they have this god-like superhero similar to Thor on their side against Thanos, another god creature with powers beyond.
So you said that what's going to happen in Endgame. So I mean, are you on the same boat as everybody else that Ant-Man's going to?
Go up Thanos' ass
and expand.
Those memes are amazing. Well, you know what's funny? And I was telling this to Rhonda. So, as you all know, again, I'm a comic book nerd. There are 616 universes in the Marvel. And in one of them, and believe it or not, I think it was in 2009, 2010, one of the Ultimate Universes, that's how they dispatch Thanos. Ant-Man goes up his ass and goes big and destroys him. Or I don't know if it's up his ass or in his ear and does it. But the bottom line is that does happen in a comic book in one of the universes.
So that's what's going to happen in the movie.
No, it's not going to what you see perform. I would love to see Disney do that so everyone can say, what the fuck? This Ant-Man goes right up his head, and he goes and explodes him. But that is funny.
They brought in James Gunn just to direct that
to direct that sequence.
Yeah.
And then they proved everything they ever said about James Gunn. Mm-hmm. No, but the Flurkin scene, the last second, if you stay till all the way to the end of the credits, Goose coughs up the Tesseract. Now we know that it's in this current continuity because Nick Fury's not there. You don't see Nick Fury sitting in the chair, so we know that this happens around the same time Captain Marvel comes back. So I don't know if he spits it up because he feels as he's back, and now they can grab it. But
didn't he have it in Avengers 1? That's right.
No, we see it.
Loki
so we
steals
see
it,
it
right?
in Thor. We see it first in Thor.
It's in Asgard, right?
Correct. But right after that, Captain America shows it because Thor came out in May. Captain America came out in July. Captain America: First Avenger is what Red Skull has.
Yeah.
In Infinity War, and then in Thor Ragnarok, Hela shows that a lot of the things we've seen in Odin's throne room or trophy room are fake. Now, what people are going back and forth is when Thanos takes Gamora to the Soul Keeper, who is Red Skull, and he gives him the Soul Stone, which looks a lot like the Tesseract. How can that be that if it's been inside Goose all this time? And then how did the thing work?
Yeah.
Now, again, you comic book nerds, everybody who does listen to the show, we all know that it's the strength of will. And Thanos' will is to have the Infinity Gauntlet and all the stones. Now, with all the other stones, they say that he can do a lot. Now, again, the snap had nothing to do with the Tesseract. It had to do with Agamotto's, Doctor Strange's time stone. So I'm thinking that the real Tesseract was inside Goose, and that's what they're going to use because, again, of course we know that the quantum realm is going to be how they go back and forth in time, but I know, like all film, everyone's like, oh, the trailer already tells us how it's going to end, so we already know what's going to happen. But no, I think it has to do with the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube, which is, and again, spoiler for comic books, not the movie, Captain America, who, as you saw in the first film, or First Avenger, he says he'll never use that stone, or the cube. In the comic book, at the end of the comic book for the Winter Soldier, which didn't happen in the film, but it happened in the comic book series, that's how they got Bucky back from being the Winter Soldier, where all hope is lost, the battle's almost lost, and Captain America does a flip, grabs the cube, and says, remember, and then Bucky becomes Bucky again. And I think that's what they're going to do in this film. I think that's how he goes back into the... Again, these are just theories. There's no spoilers because this is just what I think. We start off even though the first film is not Captain America: First Avenger, timeline chronologically it is, and I think that the fact that how he goes back and everything begins again is when he goes back there with the Tesseract, with the Cosmic Cube, which then changes everything and it opens up the door for the other universes, the 616 universe, which is Miles Morales, which is definitely going to happen, coming over to our universe. And anyway, but that's just my theory. But the Cosmic Cube plays a big part, and I think that what Thanos has may be the Soul Stone, but it's not what he wanted with the Cosmic Cube. I think it's a fake, but we'll find that out. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
I didn't have anything else, so
yeah, okay.
You pretty much wrapped up my thoughts.
Because I really want to see us.
Yeah, because I have no idea what any of the end stuff means. I'm just along for the ride when it comes to these Marvel movies.
But you are going to see it opening weekend. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I'm excited about that one. I think I'm going blank on who directed.
The Russo brothers.
The Russo brothers. I mean, they've made all of my favorite Marvel films.
Oh yeah. They did all Cap
Winter
films.
Soldier,
Cap
Civil War,
the strongest ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and Avengers. I mean, Avengers was on my top 10 list last year, so I'm excited for sure.
So let's talk about Jordan Peele's new film, bro.
Yeah, Jordan Peele, who gave us with his debut feature, gave us Get Out, which is a really fantastic kind of horror comedy blend. It's it's like a horror film with the scenes where you get kind of blatant comedy, and it was really fresh and just it had a really interesting kind of undertone to it that it's just a really brilliant movie, well acted. It was, for a debut feature, even though I'm sure he's directed like episodes of Key and Peele.
Yeah, he did. He did a lot of.
He's
Key and
directed
Peele.
some other stuff, so
And
it wasn't
he's
like
done a
the
lot of
first thing
Comedy
he'd ever
Central
directed.
stuff,
But you know, it was definitely. Did he direct Keanu? I know they did they've done some features.
They both. It was.
they
No,
co-direct?
I think you're right. I think it was
Maybe they
directed
had
solely
somebody else
by
on.
Jordan Peele. I think you're right.
Well, he directed this. This is his second movie called Us, which is another more true horror film about a family of 4 that go on they go on like a trip to their vacation home, and are strange things start happening. Like there's these small coincidences that they start noticing around them, and all of a sudden a family appears that happens to look very similar to them, and they start kind of harassing them and trying to break into the home, and it kind of turns into more of a home invasion thriller. The movie opens with Lupita Nyong'o's character from when she was a young girl going to a carnival and coming across, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a hall of mirrors basically. And she goes into it and she sees this girl that looks just like her, and the girl gives her kind of a creepy smile, and then it cuts to her later that evening, like her parents finding her and being like, "Where were you?" and stuff like that. And she seemed haunted by this experience for up and through her adult life, and it clearly is still impacting her, and it comes across as though this memory is haunting her, is the way she describes it. So that's essentially the plot of Us. It's I think it's an amazing movie. It's Jordan Peele just directs the shit out of this. I mean, everybody's really fantastic. Lupita is so freaking good. I mean, she's Toni Collette good in this, and just really runs the show here. The family dynamic is really entertaining and interesting. They all feel very real and well written, and just, they're funny, and like they all bicker between each other, and even that's entertaining. And then the horror starts, and it's effective because we've spent a fair amount of time with this family. And I feel like I was listening to Nick Pizzolatto. It was a totally different thing, but he was talking about True Detective Season 3, saying how he hopes that the finale kind of brings more meaning to everything else that happened in the show in Season 3. And I think when that concluded, that's exactly how I felt. Yeah. Same thing about Us, where when the movie ends, I feel like there's all these little details that this film is setting up that really pay off. Some people don't like the way it kind of unfolds, but I think it's really exciting. It's visually stunning. I mean, this is just so imaginative in a way that it's completely original and fresh in so many different ways. It's effective. I mean, I couldn't praise it more. I think it's the best movie of the year, and I can't wait to see what else. Yeah, so far, I can't wait to see what else Jordan Peele has to offer. So,
well, tomorrow, Twilight Zone.
Do I?
The Twilight Zone on CBS.
I didn't realize it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people are with their complaints about that too. Is that he's just redoing episodes. They're originals, but the majority of this first season, I think they said.
In this new one?
In the new one that he's doing, he is redoing episodes. From what I saw, though, I mean, he's got great actors, of course.
For sure.
And they look, and they're, of course, fresher takes than, the 50s and 60s. So I really, really do want to see it. I lost my all-access pass. Delano gave it to me so I can watch Star Trek Discovery. But I definitely want to check those out, too. But I want to see Us first. Hopefully, it's
totally worth seeing. I mean, it's really the only thing worth seeing right now. I think in theaters, and it's just I don't know. There's moments in it where, so it feels kind of contained for a lot of scenes in the film. Yeah. But then there's these moments where like the budget really, because I think this is like a $10 million movie, and it doesn't feel like that. I mean, it's well directed, well acted, well shot, everything on a technical level, but there's moments where like that budget where they use it and it's so effective. Yeah. And I don't want to get into spoilers obviously because you haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. No. But it's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, visually, there's just these images that like I'll retain for a really long time. Nice. I like that. And some of them are in the trailer, which are they're just beautifully shot. And
so let me ask you a question then. Since I don't find Get Out a horror film, I see more of a psychological thriller comedy. Is this more of a horror film? Yeah,
definitely. Most definitely.
Okay,
yeah, for sure. This is definitely more. Now, I mean, it. The only thing I would say is like it's not as violent as a traditional horror film, but the imagery and stuff is horrifying, and it definitely there's definitely more elements of horror than in Get Out, which was they both kind of play like Twilight Zone episodes, which is well, and it just in the way that they're he's building these worlds almost, even though it's set in reality. There's just these elements that feel kind of almost not contrived, because that's a bad thing, but like I don't know, it feels like there's something drawing all these elements together in a way that's like it's almost magical.
Gotcha.
There's a magical quality to just the containedness of these stories that he's doing, and the containedness is not a word, but
I mean, you just brought that up, and it didn't hit me till just now. I was like, you know what? Anyone who could bring allegorical film to life would be Jordan Peele, because that's what Rod Serling did. He brought everyday situations into the science fiction or horror element.
Exactly.
And I think
so you're putting real people in these horrifying situations and kind of examining how they react. And that's interesting in itself. And it's also got kind of the same kind of sharp social commentary underneath it. Yeah. Very different point that he's trying to make with this. But, it's I don't know. I can't wait to see it again. I haven't had time to. But it's just amazing. The only other movie, well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we're seeing this other than this. I mean, I know Harmony Korine's new film Beach Bum came out though. I'd like to see that.
Right, it did come out.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, go see it in the theater. It deserves to be seen in the theater. So don't wait to see it on demand or on Netflix. Go see it. Yeah, support Jordan Peele.
Support him, bro.
I mean, he's doing okay. I mean, I think it made like $47 million or something.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest openings,
which is fantastic, and it deserves it. So, yeah definitely. I mean, it's wholeheartedly recommended by me. I love it. So, next movie on our list is the Netflix. It's called Paddleton. It's produced and executive produced by Mark Duplass and Jay Duplass.
Oh, okay. Two
of my favorite producers working right now. And it's very in line with some of their other work, kind of that mumblecore style, kind of indie comedy with a kind of a human sadness to a lot of their work. They produce like The One I Love, and I didn't really love Jeff Who Lives at Home, but it's tonally kind of similar. I'm trying to think, like even like some of Swanberg's stuff. It fits into that mumblecore genre, which sounds completely pretentious, but it's just they're movies where people they're just kind of normal situations where people deal with these normal circumstances, and you get more natural dialogue and stuff like that. A lot of times they're very improvised. This is the same way. I think they had like an outline or a loose script, and then Ray Romano and Mark Duplass kind of just play off one another. Plot of the movie is that the movie opens with us finding out that Mark Duplass's character is terminally ill with cancer, and his best friend, played by Ray Romano, is they like do everything together. Like they don't work together, but they come home and they play this made up game called Paddleton, which is like paddle ball, but they're trying to get the ball into a trash can. Okay. And so they're like, it's just a silly little game that they play like every day. They go to the same spot, and then they go home and they watch kung fu movies together, and they have this routine, and they're very content with this routine that they have. And Mark Duplass decides, because of the cancer, to end his own life using the aid of a form of medication that allows you to kind of pass without pain.
Yeah.
And he tells Ray Romano this, and they have to go get the pills because you can't get them locally, and so they have to drive like 6 hours. So there's a little bit of like road trip kind of. I would call it comedy, but it's really just kind of these two characters going on a road trip, spending this time together, and kind of I think it's incredibly sad and moving because, well, it's more sad than anything because just watching Ray Romano, kind of his character deal with the way that he's like, I'm going to lose my favorite person. Yeah, there's something really heartbreaking about that, and Ray Romano is just amazing. He's very funny. Yeah. Like they have these great scenes where they're talking about just in that mumblecore genre. You get scenes like there's a scene where they're talking about they go to an ostrich farm. He's like, ostriches are the fastest land animal. He's like, they go like 45 miles an hour. And Mark Duplass is like, well, what about the cheetah? I think they go 65. And Ray Romano's like, well, but they have 4 legs, So by if you count the legs, then mile per hour per leg. So it's just like it's just kind of silly comedy that you just kind of watch them play off one another, and I just think it's a delightful, sad movie about these two friends, and I think it's a hard watch because it is very kind of depressing at times, but there's a great scene where Ray Romano kind of says something along the lines of like I'm not supposed to just act normal throughout all this. So there's these great moments of, really human drama, and it's really effective. So it's on Netflix. Nobody knows about it, I think. Yeah. Because Netflix did not push it.
You didn't say these were Netflix things, so I would have saw it last night, but I just said, it's probably in theaters. It's my fault. I should have looked it up, but I would have watched it. Yeah,
Netflix really didn't even advertise it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't think it was on Netflix. I thought it was a movie in theaters.
So I don't know why, because I know that the Duplass, at least, I don't know if it's both of them, but the Duplass brothers, I think, got some kind of deal with Netflix to do a certain number of films.
Creep 2. Most of their films are on Netflix,
And I think this is I think it was a 4-film deal or something that they did. So this is one of those. And it's, I love that they make little stuff like this because it's, it's just, they give, new filmmakers opportunity to make stuff. And
definitely.
I've always been a huge fan of theirs. And I don't always love their films. Like some of their movies are hit or miss for me, like Jeff Lives at Home or a few others. But I definitely enjoy. It's a nice change of pace from other genres of filmmaking. So
definitely want to check it out. Check it out.
Worth seeing for sure. If you're in the mood for a good cry.
I would cry.
Next film on our list is Killing of the Sacred Deer.
Yes.
Which is Yorgos Lanthimos. I don't know how many features he's done when he did this.
I think this is
it's like his 5th or 6th. No, because he did a few before
The Lobster. Okay, so then after the Lobster, this is his film after the Lobster.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch Alps. That's on. It's on something. I think it's on Amazon right now. I want to see that. The trailer for that is amazing, by the way. On a totally different tangent.
I gotta look for that.
But yeah, Yorgos is. It's a psychological horror film with weird elements of comedy in it.
All right, so I want to say that because I know
we got to describe plot first.
You talked about it quick. Oh, you want? Well, yeah, because you talked about it a couple of.
Did I just go into the plot? You
mentioned before, but without spoilers. I mean, now we can because the movie's 3 years old. But
I don't think a lot of people have seen it though. So, well, I guess we can call spoilers.
We gotta have a rule that if you haven't seen the film in a year, I'm not gonna wait for you to see it. But
fair enough.
But yeah,
spoilers for Killing the Sacred Deer. It's a movie about a family that goes in. A family that Colin Farrell's character in it. He plays a surgeon that meets. I don't know if it ever explains why he's seeing the boy.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, it does.
But basically, he has a special relationship with a boy,
which isn't
he knows
weird.
through
It's
one of
not
his patients. And this kid kind of creeps into their life and then starts to destroy it from within, because you add the daughter.
Yeah, in ways that aren't quite grounded in reality. It almost has
and that's what I want to talk about. First, I'm going to say this. So I saw The Lobster, and I did. I agreed. I thought it was funny. It was quirky. The ending was genius. And then you talked about this film, and I started. And I'll tell you this much. And again, I'm not putting on the film because I did love the film. When I first started watching, I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute, is this part of the comedy? I said, everyone's playing. It's like it was just bad acting, straight up bad acting, kind of like. And
it's almost monotone in the same way The Lobster is.
I scratched my head and said, I'm gonna sit through it, but I'm like, is that the joke of it? Then after the big reveal, then it starts to play like a straight up thriller horror film, and then I was riveted all the way to the last second. I was like. But there are...
It has a weird quality about it.
And
it's hard to describe.
Yeah, because
it's what I love about
even the kid, it's funny because the kid is Irish too, but I saw the little making of thing, and he still tried to maintain his English accent. The little girl, the girl who plays the daughter, is straight up Irish, brogue and everything, and in the film, she, you wouldn't even know, but Colin Farrell's Irish as well, but it's just anyway, I just had to get that away because if you watch the making of, I was surprised. But the boy, Martin. It's when you see it, you're like, I mean, he plays monotone throughout the film. He has this weird autistic Asperger's quality to him. But we find out why, and I don't know if you want to get into the whole thing.
Yeah, let's do it because I want to talk about this.
So this is what I loved about it, because you're telling me this director directed a horror film, and at first I'm like, no, what? But I was telling Gloriana, I was telling Rhonda, it's weird because without the whole element of what drives the film, it's just a straight up like film. But I mean, the whole notion that the supernatural aspect, that this kid puts a curse on this family. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing I break it down to. It's a curse because he doesn't have superpowers. At one point, I thought maybe he had the power to talk you into things, because at one point he makes the daughter stand up, look at him in the window, and then go back down. But again, other than that, that's
he's just like master manipulating.
Exactly. But I mean, he got her out of this thing just for a second, just to walk, because the boy's like, I want to walk too, mommy. But it was like, that is the whole thing that haunted me with the film, because I was like, but they don't ever explain this supernatural curse. Like, the boy's not special.
I think you could go either way with whether or not you like that quality to this movie.
But that's good, because like I think we've said this a million
like
times. And when I was with Frank Crespo's my partner, Delano Dunn's my partner, Davey Chuck Willard, I always said, if a film makes me leave the theater talking about it, and then still days later I'm thinking about it or talking about it, then it did its job. And this film, and again, I love The Lobster. Lobster is basically straight up comedy with science fiction elements. This is a definite. It's a dark, comedic, supernatural type film.
It's more. I would say it plays more as a thriller horror.
Yeah,
because like even in the way it's shot, so that, like, which is
okay.
So,
yes, agreed.
I think what he's going for with this is he wants to make you feel as uncomfortable as possible.
And he wins.
Oh, for sure. And you just feel on edge, and you don't quite know why for the entire film. And some of that's in the way that even it's shot. So like they use a lot of like long zooms, which is fucking weird. Like it's like breaking the rules of cinema to some degree. Like, because your first day of film school, they tell you like one thing you should do is move the camera in, not like on a dolly, not zoom in on the actual lens.
Yeah.
Because it creates a weird effect that just looks almost low budget. Like it looks like bad film. It looks like what you'd see in like a bad documentary wedding film. But this film, like, it's like masterfully like shot, but using these weird. I mean, even like in the way that like The Favorite's kind of shot. That's all wide angle, but like he uses like these really odd techniques to make you feel uncomfortable. And I think that contributes to just a level of anxiety that you can't like describe without experiencing it. And I feel like that's like masterful in a way. So and even just like the way that the conversations with Martin and just but then there's this really funny like black humor like between the siblings, like where one of them says like, well, but you'll die first and I'll get your bed or I'll get your room or whatever. It's so dark and like
that is.
Just dry. Like that's like the perfect way to describe. It's just, I don't know. It's
even the ending, and because
it's got one of my favorite scenes of like I'll never forget the scene with where he has to blindfold himself and spin around and shoot.
I swear to God, I was like, even the ending where his choice of how to make the choice, it was comedic.
Yeah.
In a way, and it's funny because it brought me back to Funny Games, Michael Hanke's Funny Games.
It reminds me very much
like
Games.
that ending, and with them all blindfolded. But it's like, but he has a hood over his head, and he's spinning around. And
I didn't even think about the hood though. It totally reminds me of that.
In that movie, they put the hood on the people sitting in the couches, and this time he puts the hood on, but he blindfolds them. And it's just like, I'm laughing, but you're not supposed to.
Yeah, but it's also very intense.
Yeah, and and I guess the whole spinning, getting dizzy, shooting, and hopefully lucking out, and then the final ending, the scene in the restaurant. I mean, because of me, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm Puerto Rican. I want vengeance, and it was just just a great ending in a way, like for him, because they get up, they see the kid there, the kid is like kind of like looking at him with his Asperger's autistic look, and then the little girl just stares, which I thought the little girl was going to smile and wave, which I would have thought would have been, I think, a little bit more brilliant. But then they leave, and then that's it, and I kind of felt like, I'm like, oh my God, man, this film was like,
what the hell did I just watch?
I was like, oh my God, and it drained me because I was freaking out because, and the whole thing was like a horror film or like a thriller. the inevitable, because I kept saying, "Oh, they're gonna find a way to break this curse," and then it doesn't happen, and then you're like, "Damn, man, this kid don't even get a beating." I would have beat his ass anyway and say, "Okay, now we're even. You won, I lost, but I get to kick your ass." And
it's such a fresh, unique experience in a way that
And I'll be honest, I liked it more than the lobster. I think Killing of a Sacred Deer was my favorite of the two. Even though I do like the lobster, but I loved Killing of a Sacred Deer. I thought it was the better film. I haven't seen The Favorite. I do want to see it, but
I think I like both of them, but they're so different. I think
of course.
The Lobster is still my favorite. I think that movie is a masterpiece. But I just I don't know, that movie's so delightfully sad and in a way that I just
but so is Killing the Sacred Deer is also
very good though too.
Underlining tone,
yeah. I mean, he's just a great filmmaker, and I want more.
I definitely want to see The Favorite now.
The Favorite's great. I watched it a second time recently, and it's awesome. I have that on Blu-ray too. No.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so next things on our list is really just these are just recommendations more so than reviews, because I don't think you can really review a comedy special.
True that.
I mean, you can, but it's all subjective, and ultimately, it's just I watched all of Jim Jefferies stuff. I'm a huge fan of comedy. I've been a huge fan of comedy for a long time. I film comedy on occasion. I used to go to comedy in Houston, all, on a daily basis, and I just love it. And Jim Jefferies is now one of my favorite comedians, probably, because I watch he's got like 3 or 4 specials on Netflix. Yeah. And they're all just of quality. They're just really good joke writing. He tells these kind of long stories, and he rambles a little bit, but he always brings it back. Like he says, when he describes Al Pacino, like, then you bring it back, and it's like oh, he never forgets. But yeah, he's just that special though, which is This Is Me Now, which is a line from one of his jokes in it. I guess this is me now.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
It's a great bit.
Well, that was my favorite bit too. Him in the bathtub.
But yeah, he has these just like really unique perspectives on, especially American politics and things like that. And he's just a really funny guy.
I'll be honest, it's funny because I saw Nate first, and I'll be honest. I know we always fight.
The next one on our list is Nate Bargatze's new special, which is my favorite of the two.
Yeah, exactly, because he's the best. I find that comedian better than Jim Jefferies, but I love Jim Jefferies, and I think the difference between the two is that, that was why I started talking. Jim Jefferies' take on America, man. I mean, that is like so friggin' raw and un-PC, but it's amazing.
Yeah, and he's definitely raunchier than Nate
definitely
Bargatze
raunchier,
for sure.
But I did like Nate.
The reason I paired these two though is because they're similar in their jokes writing. So they definitely, like, every word feels planned out, and it's less of a. Jim Jefferies is probably more of a performance than Nate. Nate kind of stands around and just kind of talks dryly into a microphone.
And I love that dry humor.
And I've seen him live, and he's such a pro. Like, the guy, I watch a lot of live comedy, like, then when I saw Nate do this, he did this act live. Like, he nailed every piece of it, and it, like, just in terms of like knowing your material, writing your material, and then going and delivering that material in for an hour, and not messing up a single word. Like, he was just like, I've seen Bill Burr, I've seen a lot of these guys live, and Bill Burr is fantastic, but he does a lot of crowd work. He fucks around a lot on stage, and that's what he's so entertaining to watch. But it's just totally different. And Bill Burr, when he films his specials, he's very similar. Like, he's like got it down to those guys are doing 4 or 5 shows a weekend before their specials, and they're just like getting their stuff on point. And Nate, this special came out, I saw him almost a year ago, and his stuff was so polished, and it was so impressive. But
I like him the better too. His stories are very funny. But it's dry.
He's definitely more of a
dry
clean
humor.
comic too.
Yeah, because I introduced Rhonda this morning before you came. She was watching the beginning of a Nate special, and she was like, "I don't like the dry stuff," but then she was laughing her ass off because it's good. He's
like sneaky funny.
Yes, exactly, and I dig that. I dig him, and I definitely going to see all his other, because there's about 2 or 3 specials of his there too. So I'm going to check them out later too.
But yeah, because I think you have a lot of different types of comedians, but you have kind of these joke writers that it's all about, like, they'll sneak in lines that in between the punchlines that are just really sneaky funny. And Jim Jefferies does a lot of that, and So that's why I paired the two of them, but they are very different. Like Jim Jefferies is definitely, like you said, non-PC, definitely rougher around the edges.
Yes, he is, yeah.
Nate Bargatze is more of a clean comic that I think you can recommend to anyone.
Yes,
and I'm so glad that his special's doing well. People are talking about it, and he's deserving of it because he's just a great comic, and he doesn't have a lot of work, but what we've gotten from him has been really fantastic. So
agreed.
Anyway, there's a lot of good specials on Netflix, but I would say watch Nate's first.
Yes.
And if you're in the mood for something more raunchy,
that's how I did.
hit up
I did
Jim
Nate,
Jefferies
and then I
stuff.
did Jim, yeah.
And then Arrested Development season 5, which is we've got a lot of Netflix stuff on here today. I feel like
say we did 3 and 4.
season. So the reason I want to. So I haven't actually. I'm 2 episodes from finishing season 5, and you've seen all of it.
Yeah.
And so have I. I mean, it's my favorite show of all time. I think. I don't think there's anything that I like more. And every episode I watch of the show, I just go, God, I just love it. It's just right up my alley in terms of what I like from a comedy standpoint. It's silly and kind of. I don't know the way that they bring these characters together in stupid ways is just I appreciate it and love it and cherish it, and I always will. But a lot of people are like really done with this show, and I don't agree. I mean, I understand like I don't know that we need 7 more seasons or anything. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
no. I'd rather have quality than quantity.
Yeah, quantity. Right.
But I feel like watching the season, I've been so entertained, and like I watched the first kind of I think 5 or 6 episodes of the season, and I rewatched. I watched all of the. They released this in a weird way because they released the first part of season 5 and then the second part of season 5. So I watched the whole first part of season 5, and then I rewatched it with my brother, and I feel like because the plot's so like silly and convoluted, I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff the first time, which is kind of an Arrested Development staple because the plots are ridiculous, and I think it deserves a second viewing because there's just all kinds of little details and funny throwaway lines, and things that you catch the second time through, but. I don't know. I feel like even like season 4, which a lot of people didn't like, especially with the recut version of it. Like I thought that season by the end of the season was completely brilliant. Like, and I feel like it in a similar way to Us and True Detective, like the way it ends kind of, it adds meaning and silliness and funny into the rest of it. And I feel like when they recut it, it was like, watching another episode of the first 3 seasons again. I was just like, I can't believe they took something that was a little more dry in comparison to seasons 1 through 3, and then they recut it in a way that all of a sudden now it feels like the same exact stuff, even though they're all older and the plots don't intertwine the same way. I don't know. Like season 5 feels like a kind of a return to form for me. It's not perfect or anything.
And that's what I was going to say. Because you talked about how they broke it up, season 5, and I'll be honest, the first half of season 5, I didn't find that funny. There was a lot of cool things like, the whole Tony Wonder and stuff like that was good. But the second half is a return to, you want to talk return to form.
I definitely think it's better than
I'm
the first
laughing
half.
my ass off all the time. Even Michael Cera, I guess, is not walking through it anymore or on drugs or whatever he was on the first part. He's really, they all jive perfectly like they used to. I love this second half more than the first half, but I guess what you said is true. You can always go back and see stuff or get other stuff from it that you didn't catch the first time. And I might want to do that as a whole. I didn't do that, and I should have. But the second half of season 5 is amazing. I'm like watching it again, back-to-back episodes, and when I have to go to work, I'm like, I got to go to work. I want to see the rest. So I really did enjoy it. So, yeah, I mean...
Like I said, I haven't finished it, so maybe... you said that it's all good. I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, but... I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far.
Definite.
So, I mean, it's not really a review of Arrested Development. It was just
no,
more.
It's just
the goal is just kind of talk about like, well, why are people shitting on this show, man? Like they're putting in a lot of really good work.
Yeah,
I didn't understand why Tobias's mustache was pink, and then the whole first half of season 5, I was a little confused by that because there's only one line that explains it. And it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's because he's trying to be Michael, and he thought that he would dye it the same color of his skin in order for because Michael doesn't have a mustache, but it just turned out pink instead, which is the dumbest. And he did it with his sideburns too. It's just the sideburns. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But that's like the funniest bit in the whole season. Anyway, Arrested Development's great, and everyone should watch it. And you guys need to stop complaining about it because it's fucking great, and I want more. So
real quick, because you already did Free Solo. I watched it.
Free Solo's documentary about a dude that climbs up mountains without any kind of ropes.
And I liked it. I didn't love it. I mean, the guy's kind of a dick, but he,
which is what I find interesting about it.
Yes, exactly. But he's just like kind of, oh shit, this guy's right. And then I thought it was interesting because I mean, of course, it's kind of like anticlimactic ending. But
he doesn't die.
No, of course not. But it's like they throw it in there. These people, then they give you a whole 5-10 minutes of the people who died, and then right before he goes to climb, somebody else dies, and he's like, he freaks out, he doesn't do it, and then of course blah blah blah. Then I'm gonna do it, and then he goes back, and then not only am I gonna do it, I'm gonna do a Free Solo, and honestly, I thought even with all the cameras, the drones, and everything, and I know like you said when you first talked about it that the way they shot it, they had to be careful not to get in his way or he might die. And I thought that was exciting. It's like they zoom right through it. It's like the whole Free Solo climb. It's 5 minutes maybe, and I'm like, oh, they gotta do it one shot where he slips or he's having trouble. Nothing. He goes right up that fucking mountain.
The problem is though, they can't you can't build tension. I
understand, but then I was like, well, what the hell the point of this thing? I thought there was going to be some drama, but again, yes, it's a documentary. But after us watching all these documentaries while we've come back on Indecisive Cinema, you get all this actually, I thought I put the documentary about the little girl who disappeared in Europe, and they got that now. It's a whole season of it. But that's real life drama that actually builds tension because of things. But it was just and again, I was proud of him. Everybody was proud. Everyone was hugging him, and Jimmy Chin's like, oh, it's amazing. We never got him. We got this. And I'm like, nothing happened. He climbed the Free Solo, and it
looks really pretty. So
yes, but the way they build is they're talking about, oh, this is going to be a problem here. And then when they do the diagrams, and I'm like, oh man, I'm worried. And then, oh, he made it to the top. And I was like,
see, I agree though that I think the ending is less interesting than everything up to it though. But I found,
it's anticlimactic.
I don't know. I found when they break down the way that you have to climb the mountain and everything,
that was all good. And I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be crazy.
Showing that move where he has to either karate kick to the side and get up, or he has to, and it's that's fucking crazy.
And even though he was wide,
and the amount of skill required to be it's like I just said the guys. That's what works about the documentary. But I don't think. I mean, I don't know if it wasn't my favorite documentary of last year, so I don't know if it was deserving of. It's really solid though, and it's really well made. Yeah. And some of the footage in it is just breathtaking. So I can't imagine on the big screen it would have just been
Ron the Show really impressive. It, and it's the fact that those clouds are in them. It's that's how high this friggin' mountain is. That the clouds in the middle of it. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit, bird, really?
And the fact that the filmmakers had to climb the mountain with them,
which I kept saying, I was like,
with cameras and stuff.
They're doing it. What's the big deal? But they got gear, they got cameras,
and they're roped in,
and they're roped in and everything, But yeah, it was like you said, pretty to look at. Yes, amazing. It was, but again, it was so anticlimactic. I was like, what? I mean, not that I wanted to die.
It's just a really impressive accomplishment. But it's not necessarily the most effective, thrilling documentary that you could see. Because I mean, like I said, American Animals or Three Identical Strangers. Won't You Be My Neighbor? So many good documentaries last year. So apparently, Faces Places, who the director of Faces Places just passed away. Inga, what's her name? Agnes. I forgot her fucking name.
I heard that.
Documentary filmmaker Agnes Varda just passed away. Rest in peace.
Sorry to hear that. No, they wrote Face of the Places.
Yeah, I think she's the one that passed away, right?
Yeah.
This past week.
Monthly friendship. Yeah.
But yeah, and she's a documentary filmmaker has made a bunch of documentaries over the years. Mm-hmm. Right? Is it? Yeah, Agnes. Okay, sorry, it was credited to two people.
Yeah, she just died. Yeah, March 29th. Yeah, a couple days ago.
But anyway, apparently that was really great too. So there's just a ton of documentaries last year that people loved, and so I don't know if this is Free Solo is quite that accomplishment, but it's definitely an impressive technical achievement and just athletic achievement.
Yeah.
So I think Free Solo is like worth seeing for the photography alone. Like,
oh yeah. No. I agree with you. It's beautiful. I like it, no doubt. Yeah.
Anyway, our next film, which everyone's seen, is Wayne's World, which I watched for the first time in like 10 years.
I was gonna say, you have seen it, but you haven't seen it.
But I like know every line. Like that's a movie.
It's
so
amazing. Wayne's World.
It's so weird watching a movie like that I watched so many times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it like changed the way I watched like comedy, like in general. And I didn't realize the impact it had on me until I watched it again recently, where I was like I remember every line of this, and like the absurdity of that movie and the way that I just can't believe that there's a few movies on this list. Wait, what just happened on my list? A few movies on this list though that I still can't believe they were made. Including the next one on the list, which is get to in a second. But Wayne's World, like I love how absurd it is, and I love. This isn't a review. I just want to talk about Wayne's World for a few minutes. Just give everybody a little bit of time to appreciate Wayne's World.
It's a great film.
And like I don't know, just the commitment to stupidity.
Stupidity. I mean, let me tell you, one of the greatest things about that movie was that Scooby-Doo ending was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I remember we were sitting at the me and Frank Crespo sitting in the not the Angelica, I think it was the 14th Street Theater, and we were loving the movie. And then when the Scooby-Doo ending happened, we were laughing so friggin' loud, and that thing people were like looking at us like, "What the fuck is not that funny?" But it was. It's amazing. The Scooby-Doo ending.
Or like the whole scene they do in Mandarin. And then, then he pauses for a second when he's talking about his ex-girlfriend, and like he's like, she's a psycho hose beast, but it's like subtitled. It's like subtitling his thoughts, which is just like these weird just throwaway bits they're so effective. It's a great movie. Anyway,
that's why Mike Myers is a zillionaire, bro.
That's Wayne's World. The next movie on our list, which I also can't believe. So I just want to ask, because you like, I don't even think was I alive when that came out?
No, you weren't.
The movie that I'm referring to is Steel. Starring I can't even. I'm trying to search it on IMDb. It's the last.
Yeah, I was going to say. I'm looking. Yeah, there it was 1997.
Okay, I was alive when that happened, but
you were 95 or
94.
4. Okay, that's right. So.
Yeah, starring the amazing, the one and only Shaquille O'Neal. It's it's like RoboCop, but with Shaq. It's the worst idea. It's horrible. So my brother and I saw this on Tubi or something, which is like an app on Xfinity that has a bunch of free movies, and we were scrolling through, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like,
so you never heard of it?
No, I had never heard of it.
Holy shit! I thought maybe you were like.
And so I was just trying to understand. Like, I know that it was in a time where like Space Jam happened, and so you had like Michael Jordan, like all these big celebrity, celebrity athletes that they're putting in feature films, which is just the worst idea ever. I mean, there's a few people that I think could pull that off. I mean, the only current one I can think of would be like John Cena. Yes. I mean, but is he really or The Rock?
And The Rock, yeah.
But they're just wrestlers,
they're actors anyway. There you go.
But still, it's just like I don't. So walk me through. Do you remember when this released?
Yes, it was 1997. So, and here again, we're going back to the Captain Marvel. So at the time, the death of Superman happened a few years before, and an amazing comic book story, which they nullified by a year later, bringing him back from the dead. But in this year time, they introduced like 5 replacements, and it was Superboy, Eradicator, oh my God, some other dude, and then there was Steel. And Steel was already a hero in the DC universe. He was John Henry Irons, who was like John Henry in the old story.
Wait, this is based off a comic book?
Yes, this is a DC movie based on a Superman character named Steel, bizarre. And basically, what he does is, everyone's mourning the death of Superman. So he's like the only really good guy who was in the universe introduced before that, who makes a suit of steel. And he can, he has like flying power and the whole nine, so he can be like Superman. And he in the interim was the good Superman, whereas the Eradicator was the bad one. Cyborg Superman was the bad one. Superboy, who was good, we find out is a clone of Superman. But yeah, so when I heard this being made, I remember I was like, telling my boss, Xavier, if you listen to my show, this is a year after we met. And I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. They're going to make a scene. And he kept saying, I don't think it's going to be good. Shaquille O'Neal's in it. I said, no, because back then, I still, you know how I fight for my superhero movies. I was still fighting. I said, no, this is going to be the Superman movie. This is going to be, oh my God. When that movie came out, I remember reading the reviews. It was destroyed. Every friggin' movie was like, how did this movie get made? And I did, thank God I didn't go. I was like, my boss was like, I saw it and it was horrible. Don't go waste your money. And I was with Emily, my ex-wife, so I was like, yeah, we were like kind of broke. So I ended up seeing it on Cinemax or whatever a year later. Oh my God, what an atrocity it was. Had nothing to do with the Superman mythos. It had nothing to do with superheroes whatsoever. It was just ridiculous.
It's a masterpiece.
So
there's a few things. What's so baffling about it is, so the fact that so you said how did this movie get made?
Yeah,
but it was also it's made really well, which is what's so bizarre. This is a huge budget studio movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say they put a lot of money into this. Yeah,
and I don't know what the exact budget was, but why would you cast Shaquille O'Neal in a $50 million big budget Hollywood film? It doesn't make any sense. It's one thing if it's a throwaway B movie, but you have comic book canon that's just being you're putting this guy who doesn't know how to act, first of all, and is the other thing is he's a whole 4 foot taller than every other actor in the movie. Yes. And so every scene you've got the way that they have to shoot the scenes, if somebody is standing next to Shaq talking to him, they'll have them look at his neck so that the eye line isn't just looking right up at him, and it's just the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't think that you could classify this as a movie because I love bad movies. I really love movies that are so bad that you laugh at them. I don't know that this is quite in that territory because the mystery isn't. It's not like the movie The Room, where you're just every creative decision you're just what, because the joke gets old. I'm sure by the end of the movie, but it's just still a really. I'm just amazed that it exists. So
well, Kazam was the movie he did the year before as a genie, and that had a little bit of popularity. So that's how he got Steel made, but. I mean, look at the cast. You got, who's it? Annabeth Gish is in this movie, and then you got Judd Nelson. I mean, Richard Roundtree. You got a big freaking cast in this movie. So, I mean, but yeah, still.
Baffling.
Horrible movie.
And then the next movie on our list is another one that I cannot believe this movie got made, which is Blue Velvet, which I saw on the big screen. I've seen the movie probably 3 times now, including seeing it this past week at Draft House. I think I saw it at one of your fests for the first time.
Fest. Yeah, we did see it together.
Yeah, because I still I think that was the first. It may have been the first David Lynch film I'd ever seen.
Interesting. Did I introduce you to David Lynch?
Possibly.
Can't be. Holy cow.
I'm trying to think because Twin Peaks was probably it was either that or Twin Peaks. I watched Twin Peaks on my own, so I don't know.
No, we did see it together. I remember that night. They called it Hardy Boys in Hell. That was the tagline.
It's amazing to see that movie on the big screen because so for a couple of reasons. One is just that it's such a unique visual experience that is unlike even anything David Lynch has done. I mean, the way that he frames for instance, in a traditional horror scene, you would or spoilers for Blue Velvet in case you haven't seen it.
40 years later,
when he walks into her apartment at the end, and there's the guy, the police chief with the chunk of his head taken out, and you don't he just frames it up as an extreme wide shot, and it's you get this weird it's almost like a painting of the apartment, and seeing that on the big screen is just it's just he has such an interesting visual style that he does this in Twin Peaks too, where a traditional scene at the table of a conference room, actually, I'm describing Mulholland Drive, not Twin Peaks. Yeah. The opening with Justin Theroux, where they're sitting at the table, and he shoots it in an extreme wide, and he holds that shot for so long. And you're just what the hell is that? It's so weird. It's extremely interesting to see. I'm stumbling over my words, but it's exciting to see David Lynch on the big screen for that reason, because it allows you to appreciate I don't know the scene in I'm going blank on, I don't know all the characters' names, but when Dennis Hopper, not right before he takes him on the ride, when they go to get the drugs from his drug dealer or whatever, and he starts singing, and like just the way that, again, he frames that up in like this wide shot, and like you have all your characters just kind of standing there like they don't know what to do, and it's a nightmare, and it's so like it's just that movie's like a descent into hell in a way
that's what they call it, the
into
Hardy
madness.
Boys in hell.
You know, I just not only do I love the film because it's so
great film.
bizarre, and I think it's probably his most consistent from a standpoint of like the creative decisions he makes, because David Lynch is a filmmaker that I feel like he experiments a lot when he makes movies, and the guy who introduced it described it as like he doesn't deal in answers, he deals in questions or something. And it's like, but that's not always a good thing for me. Like for me personally, like a movie like, for instance, Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me is like almost unfinished, and it's like, and I think it was, and you watch those movies and you're just like, huh? Like there's just creative decisions. And Mulholland Drive is the same way. That was supposed to be a series though, right? But like, I feel like Blue Velvet's his most consistently, like from a decision standpoint, like the motivation of the characters makes the most sense. The I don't know, it just is his most cohesive and I think you could say accessible film, even though it's a subject matter that's pretty dark.
I would agree with that.
It's definitely, there's a lot of sexual depravity in this movie, and just kind of, but it's not portrayed in a way that's, it doesn't portray it as good in any way. Dennis Hopper's character is just amazing. Like, so it makes you so uncomfortable in it. But it's got moments of just brilliance. I don't know. It's a great movie, and I love seeing it on the big screen. So
I luckily I saw it on the big screen in the early '90s, and it is. I mean, we've talked about David Lynch. We had a whole episode on David Lynch. I mean, he's one of my favorite directors, and he's like, I think out of all my directors, he's the most surreal and nightmarish director, but he's a genius, and everything he does I love, no matter how bad it might be to some others. But I love Blue Velvet. I think it was my first David Lynch film too. When I first saw it, I was like, everyone's talking about this movie. Let me see what it is. And I was like,
what did he make before that? He made Dune right
was
before
the film
it.
right before that, and then he did Elephant Man.
Okay.
And then he did
Eraserhead first. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I burped on the mic.
Did you?
I was trying to hold that one in, but it didn't work.
The last three films, we can go through these real quick. They're not.
Yeah, I mean these are older movies. That,
Ex Machina.
You hadn't seen Ex Machina?
Yeah, you told me about it back in 2015. You told me about it, and I said, I gotta see that. And then since we came back, I've always said, damn, it's in the queue. Why don't I watch it? So after we talked on the last show,
it's been on Netflix for like 5 years.
Yeah, and
it came out 3 years ago. It's been on Netflix for 5 years.
Watched it. And not to compare it to Annihilation, not that I want to go there again, but I thought I liked it a lot. Ending, even though I saw it coming, they did turn it around where you didn't see it coming. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a solid film. That one, to me, again, from beginning to end, I really dug it. The mystery is there, but I mean, again, it's not rocket science.
Okay, but let's talk about one thing though. The one thing that our listeners, or our listener, whoever is listening to this, they want to know is, what did you think about Oscar Isaac's dance scene? Because that's all that matters.
Is that true? I mean, I loved Oscar Isaac in this movie. I loved him in this movie. He played
fantastic.
Such a dick asshole character, but that was his character.
There's something you feel like he's a step ahead.
Yeah. But the dance, that was cute with the little him dancing with the spoiler alert robot.
That's an amazing scene. That's like that scene elevates the rest of the film.
It does. I mean, I love it. I love it. What's his name? Oh my God.
Donald Gleason.
Donald Gleason. He's amazing in it. Vickers, the girl who plays Ava. Yeah. She's also amazing in it.
What's her name? I forgot her name.
Yeah, she's the one who was in Tomb Raider, unfortunately.
she's the only thing good about that movie, though. I think.
No. I mean, she's amazing.
Elisa Vikander.
Yeah.
She's adorable in that. I think she's
I think
she makes
cute.
that movie
I like when she
watchable.
starts putting on the clothes. Even when she was half robot, she's still cute. And then when she finally gussies up, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so hot. But it was just amazing.
We all know what Carlos wants now. Oh, Jesus. Can't hold back. Well, I was just going to say she was a good actress.
She's hot. But she was very, I mean, playing a robot can go either I am a robot or as she did. She was amazing in it. I loved her. And I definitely do recommend it. And I'm glad I saw it because, like, again, and also Rick Van Damme keeps telling me to watch Annihilation again. I will definitely watch Annihilation one more time. But the fact that Alec Garland did this movie, I'm glad because I was more impressed with this movie than the other. But
It's just a really stripped down thriller.
yeah, exactly. Thriller. And again, we keep throwing thriller around. But yeah, science fiction thriller, but thriller nonetheless. Yeah, I liked it. And I liked the big reveal at the end and stuff. So, and then real quick, The Watchmen. I mean, since again we went into the superhero theme with
the biggest
Captain
question I have for you about
Marvel,
that is how does it hold up? I haven't seen that movie in like 8 years,
And
probably.
I'm glad you said that because, again, and
Talking
I
about
know
Watchmen.
Delano Dunn confessed a year ago that he actually's come around to The Watchmen, which he thought was the worst film of all time, he said, but now he likes
I
it.
don't know about that. But
Well, exactly. I still find the film. Now, here why I'm going to say something different. I watched it with Gloriana, and Gloriana, her mother didn't want her to watch the movie at all
Yeah.
because of the graphic sex scene, and then also there's a lot of violence, but she's seen more horror films with worse violence. I think because I was worrying about the person I was showing it to, like a lot of things fell because she went to see it as, oh, this movie I can't see, so I want to see it. You know what I'm saying? It's a forbidden film. And, you know, she was kind of like asking me a million questions at the beginning. She's like, I'm confused. I said, but mommy, just pay attention. But it's a 3 hour and 7 minute film for a 14-year-old
long?
girl. Yes. And so she started getting bored. She's not familiar with the heroes. They're not Captain America, Spider-Man. So,
Sure.
and I said, I'll tell you everything, you know, at the end, you know, because I paused the film in the beginning like 5 times. And I was like, this is killing the film. So did I enjoy it as much? Not as a whole, and only because of that. I mean, again, the scene where at the funeral where they're all getting their flashbacks of the comedian. Again, to this day, Night Owl scene with the comedian that sums up the film, sums up America, sums up even America Now.
I don't
The
remember
movie
that
came out in
scene.
2009, I'll tell you, and it's 2019, 10 years later, and him summing up. That's when it's 77. It's right before the Keene Act goes through. And the Night Owl and the comedian are to disperse some type of protest against Nixon being elected for the 4th time or whatever. And they throw a bottle at him. He goes, "You want to play it that way?" So he jumps down. He starts shooting them with the bullet. What do you call it? The ball guns. You know that it does. Anyway, he's like he punches a pregnant woman in the face, and he's being really violent. And Night Owl's kind of like, you know, oh my God, what are we doing? He goes, whatever happened to the American dream? And he turns around, and in the background is that flag that's all desecrated. And he goes, it came true. You're looking at it. And oh my God, the goosebumps go up and down. You gotta watch it again. And even though I was like, oh, this movie's being destroyed because my 14-year-old daughter needs to see it later on when she's more older. But that scene just gave me chills.
Isn't it the
Every time I
worst
see
when you
that
watch
scene-
something that you're excited about and you show it to somebody at either the wrong time or
Yes,
they just, or
exactly.
they
And
don't
but
like
she
it?
wanted to see. I finally let her see it. Definitely, again, when she gets to be 18 or older and she wants to sit down with me, if I'm still alive, we'll watch it. But I'll tell you right now, that scene and when Rorschach's murder, those are the greatest. No matter how many times, no matter what's going on, I'll shut out the whole world to watch the scenes because they're brilliant scenes. The scene where Rorschach, who's the most deadest, darkest character in the film, is the only human being in the room. It's amazing. And when you know, and again, the comic book is so much. I'll say this, guys, and I know I don't look at comments. I don't know. I know Jeremy posts this on all different formats, but I know I'm gonna get comments for this one. Alan Moore's comic book is the greatest comic book ever made, but Zack Snyder made it better by making the Night Owl become more human in the movie than in the comic book. Because in the comic book, he's this fat coward, but in the movie, when after Night Owl, the Rorschach is murdered, he collapses to the ground. It's amazing, and it's just a powerful scene. But yeah, so I love The Watchmen. Does it still stand up? Yes. Did I like it this time? Not because of the fact I was worrying about the person I watched it with. But again, if I watch it tomorrow, I'll still be riveted from beginning to end.
I'm just curious to see if because I don't think I hated Zack Snyder yet when when that movie was released.
Yeah.
And then Sucker Punch happened, and even like
Which I like. I don't love, but I like
that
it.
movie's just awful.
More awful than
and
Steel.
even we're like rewatching 300 again, and like I hate his visual style. I just
300 is cheese.
yeah.
That is cheese. I ain't gonna lie.
And it doesn't mean they're not like entertaining at times, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have completely lost interest in anything he's doing. But
Yeah. So the last film on this list, and I'm sad that we ended with this, but I think we should have ended with Blue Velvet. There's a movie called Bad Apples. It's on Hulu. It's part of some type of midnight thing. They have a lot of horror films, like cheesy horror films. And what I'll say is this, and I'll just sum it up because I know you saw Halloween. recently, but
You mean like the
well, you saw
19...
the remake. Well, not the remake. Whatever you want to call it, the 2018 version.
Yeah, I have seen that.
So what I like the things it's just basically it's a quick film. It opens up with a murder. The woman's having a child, and the child, after she's stabbed to death, the child comes out. Sets up the tone of the film. We find out that she had twins, and they were being raised by the father, who we see come in after the murder. But he's like this guy. He's a redneck. They live in a trailer, and they don't show the girls' faces. Like they have masks on.
Okay.
And he's like, "You girls gotta come on. You gotta clean up. You gotta help out around the house. You keep getting thrown out of school. You blah, blah, blah." He sets that up. And the masks. What I like about the masks is that they're a lot like strangers, but they have expressions which are more like a what kind of look on their face. And throughout the film, they start killing people, and they end up with Bree Grant, who I know you're not. Oh, you ever watch Friday Night Lights?
The show?
The TV show.
No. I've watched like a couple episodes.
She was one of the main. So it's funny because she was also in Heroes, which I loved Heroes until the last season. And I was like, whatever happened to this girl? So I looked at her thing. She has done nothing since that. But she's in this film. To make a long story short, what I liked about the film, and I'll just get real quick because it's just really quick. It's kind of cheesy. The murders are like really quick and there's nothing about them. But what I was telling, like Hush. Have you seen Hush?
I have not.
Well, that's
I know what it
the
is,
guy who did The Haunting of Hill House. That was one of his first films. And when me and Gloriana saw it, the first 20 minutes...
He's a good director, by the way.
Yeah, he is. But this is what I hated about his thing. His first 20 minutes of the film, we have a mass killer, terrorizing, stalking this deaf girl who's one of the sisters in American Horror who I love. And after 20 minutes or almost 30 minutes of the film, the movie's like an hour and a half, he takes off his masks. So right away, we already know who the dude is. And then he explains why he's doing it, which makes no fucking sense. And even though the movie's okay, I hate it because of that. And what I liked about this stupid, cheesy hour and 20-minute film is that they never take off the girl's mask. And we do know why they're doing it. I mean, because they're crazy and they're stalking people who, in the beginning of the film, had to do around what happened to them in the beginning of the film. But at the end, it's just more because, like, Michael Myers, like, what I love about Halloween is that we only see him once without the mask.
Yeah.
And the whole notion that this evil walks around, and we know what he looked like as a boy, we know what he looks like as a man for a brief second, but it's about the evil within. Whoever he is, it doesn't matter.
When do we see him as a man? I forgot.
At the end, after he gets shot and everything, she pulls off. Yeah, she like grabs off his mask. And when Loomis comes into the room, he's putting it back on.
Oh, okay.
And you see the eyes gouge out. He's a good-looking dude. Whoever they've got has a good-looking coif. And then he puts on the mask again. And we never, ever, 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 and I don't know about the new one, ever see Michael without his mask again.
I don't think you...
Yeah. And this is my point. In this film, even though it's cheesy and everything, at the end of the film, after they're killed, she takes off the mask. And they're beautiful women. They're young girls, whatever, young women. They're very beautiful. And I'm like, I said, it's interesting that they're so beautiful, but they felt ugly. And they had these masks because of who they are and what they are. And then, of course, just like in the traditional Halloween, you have this great shot. The woman falls on the ground. She's crying and screaming. You hear the thunder. And then you get this nice little bird's eye view shot of going back into all the people who got murdered in their houses. And then you go back into the room where they're murdered and they're gone. And I was like, holy shit, nice little return to form for Halloween. But other than that, that's Bad Apples. And Gloriana enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And check it out if you got an hour and 20 minutes and you're like, let me see something cheesy.
When did it come out?
I think it came out 2017.
Oh, so it's very recent.
It's a recent film. Let me just put it in quick because I actually had this in my thing because I was reading about the girls. Bad Apples. So it's 2018. Sorry, last year. So yeah, and it's kind of like a lot of the actors did have careers. They just have no career anymore. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's the end of that movie, Bad Apples, on Hulu. Check it out.
Which is also the end of our list.
Yeah.
I feel like we never know how to end our shows.
Yeah, right. You call it the show that doesn't have an ending.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, I think so I guess we'll reconvene in 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks is good.
Let me make sure I don't have a wedding that day. Yeah. What is 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks is the 14th, I think?
14th.
Yeah, because on the 13th, I got to go to traffic school.
Yeah, 13th, I've got a wedding.
Stupid ass ticket, but I got so that's gonna be on Saturday.
Cool. Well, we will reconvene then for Indecisive Cinema episode 26. But as of now, that concludes episode 25 of Indecisive Cinema. Go see Us. Go see, watch Paddleton on Netflix.
Paddleton.
Go watch some cool shit. Go watch Blue Velvet. I don't know. We discussed a lot of good stuff that we had to talk about today. So do with that information what you will. And have a good one.
All right, you guys take care. We'll see you on the next show. Bye.